Welcome back to my channel. I am your favorite mother of three, single mother of three, bougie vintage, and this is part 3 of my sister, the Tasmanian devil story time. In this particular part, we're going to talk about getting rid of Richard. So, when my sister first arrived to Ottawa, I of course was showing her around, taking her out, showing her where I like to go, what I like to do. Now, Ottawa doesn't have much to do, so it's really just shopping. But I don't do a lot of shopping anymore. Before I had kids, I would shop all the time. But as I grew up and decided, hey, I want to buy a house, I stopped shopping. Not that I stopped completely shopping, but I stopped buying unnecessary things and big ticket items. I really wasn't doing that anymore. Now, it's still a pandemic, of course, so there isn't much to do. And I don't think they were at vaccinations being mandatory just yet for you to be able to go out and enjoy yourself, but it was coming. So the first week she got here, we went shopping, sister shopping. And it was kind of nostalgic because when I was younger, we would go shopping too. I told you guys in the story, she would take me out because she had a car. She would take me out and I couldn't afford certain things and she would buy them later on, and that was neither here nor there. But it was kind of reminiscent of those times that we used to go out shopping together. When my sister got here, obviously because she was only really supposed to be staying for 2 weeks, she didn't really have a whole bunch of things with her. So shopping was something to do, and also just getting extra little things that she may not have had. Now, as I told you guys before, my sister is always watching me, okay? So I dress a certain kind of way, and so she would be checking my tags, where did I get that, or asking me where I got things. And also just oh, that's cute. And then she would want to go to somewhere called Tanger Outlets to get Adidas because I wear a lot of tracksuits and stuff. I am very much a leisure girl, okay? Now, for the first time ever, I was cool with her dressing like me. I was okay with it. I was like, this is fine. We're Bopsy twins, it was cute. It was giving cute. I was like, she has a little tracksuit, I have a tracksuit. It was just cute to me, This was the first time ever, because especially because we were going shopping together and I had my own money now, and she kind of had her own money. So if we both liked something, we would buy it, and it wasn't a big deal. We were dressing alike. So it really got to the point where if I went out by myself and I saw something that I thought she would like, I would grab it for her, and vice versa. So we were very much exhibiting sisterly love. Love was in the air. It was great. But then it got to the point where we'd be out and I would be going to pay for my stuff, and my sister would be bumping me out the way so that she could pay for it, as if she were buying me something, Never asked her to do it. Obviously, she was just doing it. And so at first I kind of took it as she was just kind of thanking me for opening up my space to her and making her feel comfortable and accommodated in my house. And, especially because her man is here and we can't stand him and all these things. And so I'm letting her do what she wants to do. At first, I was totally cool with it. I was okay with it. But then it started to make me uncomfortable because it was a little just too much. It's okay, you're doing too much now. I can pay for my own things. You're not my sugar daddy. Obviously I like to save when I can save, but I just feel it was just too much. I don't know how to, do you guys understand what I'm saying? The final straw for me, however, was one day we were out, and I think were we at Coach? I don't remember where we were, but we were in one of the stores, and she said she was paying, or she bumped me out the way, but I saw that she was paying with my mom's credit card. And so I was alarmed, because when I go out, I don't be spending, I spend my own money. And so I was alarmed by it, but I didn't say anything. Just business as usual. I just acted like I didn't see it. I didn't mind my business. Okay, whatever she's doing is what she's doing. Now, I use my mom's credit card. My mom uses my credit card, but the thing about my mom's credit card is I only really use it for business purchases. Before I was incorporated, I would use it for business purchases, or I would use it for something that's extravagantly priced, or like furniture, like something like that. Like I never use it unless I need to, you know, I don't walk around with it. I usually use it at home. So when I saw that my sister had the card, I was a little stunned. This is how you know my mom was pretty much giving everybody equal treatment, because I use her card and I pay it. So she was basically giving my sister that same opportunity to use her card and pay it. So as me and my sister were going out, and this is something you need to remember, okay? Because when we get to another part of the story, you're gonna need to remember this. So as me and my sister are going out, frequenting the shops every single week, my sister's like, Wednesdays are mommy day. Wednesdays are mommy day. And so mommy day at the time to me meant that was our day out of the house. We don't have to mind the children, you know, we're just gonna go out, do something fun. We might go for a massage, we might do this and that and the third. That's our day of the week to, you know, have a good time, kid-free zone. And so I'm cool with that. But after the fourth mommy day, girl, I was mommy dayed out, okay? I was tired. I was tired. I was like, we do the same thing every mommy day. Like, how many times are we going to come to Tanger outlets and buy up the Adidas store and buy up the Nike store? Like, how many times are we going to come and do the same thing every single Wednesday? Like, it was old to me. I had already done that. Like, in 2016, girl, I was shopping, okay? I was over it, you know what I mean? It wasn't new to me, but I guess because of where she lived before, she lived in a very rural, Stratford is very rural. Google it, okay? There's not a lot of black people there, none. But like, it's a lot of old people. It's a theater town. It's where Justin Bieber's from. But like, it's not it, you know, there is no shopping there. It's Walmart, like that's it. So I kind of understood why she was going shopping crazy, but at the same time I didn't really understand, because it's like, did you not have online shopping? But I guess she wasn't really going anywhere. She's been on maternity leave for like 2.5 years, like just a lot. So I understood, I guess, her position where she wanted to shop all the time, but like it was just boring to me. I'm like, okay, like how many times are we gonna go to the same place over and over again and shop? Like and this is not, I usually don't shop at that spot. I go to the mall, girl. I either go to the mall, I go to Montreal, like I like to go to other stores, and I buy online a lot. I don't like to go to Tanger outlets every single week. So one Wednesday in particular, she asked me if I was coming with her for mommy day, and I made an excuse, and it wasn't really an excuse, but it was an excuse. I said, no, I gotta work. I have work to do, so I'm not gonna come this time. I really just didn't want to go. I did have work to do, but I just didn't want to go shopping again. So I opted out. Keep in mind, I was very much pregnant. My coochie's hurting. I wasn't trying to be walking around Tanger all damn day. Like, it's not the warmest outside. It's pretty much February, March. So like, it's cold, you know, it wasn't really fun for me. My vagina felt like it was falling out to the ground. I didn't want to walk around. I really didn't. Now, on top of the shopping at Tanger, there was also like a ridiculous amount of Amazon boxes. So you can very much label her a shopaholic. And so the Amazon boxes that were coming to my house was like a little insane. It was almost like a YouTuber that has a PO box that's forever being filled up. It was crazy. There was always something being ordered, whether it was for her, whether it was for the kids. And it wasn't just Amazon either. It was just boxes from wherever. She would shop online and a box would come and a box would come and a box would come and another box would come. It was just a little ridiculous. So at first, we're not thinking much of it, okay? Part of the reason we're not thinking much of it is because when she arrived and she was explaining autism stuff to us, she was telling us about all these grants and all this money that she gets because of the autism and blah, 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 blah. And a support person would be coming to help out and blah, 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 blah. So all these things where where the government reimburses her for certain purchases because autistic kids may damage stuff or because they need certain stimulants. So she came here basically stating like she gets a gang of money, a whole ton of money from the government, and she's getting back paid because he was diagnosed late, like all this stuff. So she's just creating this image of money, right? That's another thing that you guys need to remember. Anyway, we end up having the conversation again about her moving in because things are going great. We're getting along. And obviously I never anticipated that we wouldn't be getting along because I have nothing against her. So like everything was fine. It was literally just her man that I had an issue with. At this point, nothing for me has changed. I am doing my job from home as usual. Everything's fine. So obviously all that ish that her husband had been talking about their children, obviously she's privy to it. She knows about it. And so now we're once again in my mom's room on her bed talking about the situation. So she tells us she has a plan to get rid of her husband, and you know, she thinks it's foolproof. She thinks it's gonna work. At this point, me and my mama are all ears because we would like to hear how she's gonna do this and how soon she can do it. So she details to us that he's been here since like 2017, which we already knew. But apparently he was supposed to go back a while ago. So he was here illegally. Now that meant for the last like 5 years in America, he's not on paper. He's not filed taxes in America. He's like missing person at this point. Despite the fact that they've been married, she never sent in paperwork or did the paperwork that she was supposed to do to make him like a permanent resident here. And so that was a calculated thing. She did that on purpose because she knew very early on, before this even started, that she was gonna have to get rid of him after she got what she wanted, which was children. Prior to moving to Ottawa, she didn't have a way to get rid of him or an excuse to get rid of him. She needed the support. She needed me and my mom, really, to be able to pull off her grand scheme. So knowing what she knew, she was like, okay, I'm gonna be able to use the fact that he is basically missing from America to my advantage, play a big role in how I get him the hell out of here. So as we're in the room, I tell Tazmanian that I'm going to tell my ex, or like ask him about you moving in. He's not going to be opposed to it, but just out of respect, I'm going to go talk to him about it. Before I could even finish the sentence, she's like, does he know I'm going to be paying half the rent? And when she said that, I was like, we didn't even discuss this. Like, that's what I'm thinking in my head. I'm like, we never discussed you paying half the rent, but I ain't opposed to that. Somebody wants to take up half of my rent. I said, okay, chat. But like, we never talked about it. But like, she threw it out there. She offered to pay half. And that's something else you guys need to remember, because that was definitely calculated. So she asked me that, and I was like, I was probably more thinking like a third. Like, I wasn't really thinking half, but hey, especially because I knew that her husband would be leaving. She would just be her by herself and her 2 kids. But like, I really wasn't gonna be charging her half. But she threw that out there, and so I was like, that's more money in my pocket. So I let it go. So boom, I discuss it with my ex. He obviously is gung-ho about this, right? Like, he's like, oh, that's great. Like, somebody's paying half of our rent. Like, that's awesome, you know? And I'm thinking the same thing. His only concern was, what about Richard? And I was like, oh, she has this plan to get rid of him. And he's like, oh, cool. And that was that. So at this point, you're probably wondering, what the hell was her plan to get rid of her husband? Well, Tazmanian Devil pretty much researched everything. She's very meticulous that way. She like, the calculation is real, okay? So she made a few phone calls, researched a few things on Google, and she devised one hell of a plan. And she knew that it was going to work, and we were all pretty much on board and supported her in doing whatever she needed to do to get rid of him, because he was a dead weight, period. So Tazmanian Devil's first course of action was to tell Richard they are officially moving to Ottawa. And so obviously he's hesitant because he doesn't really want to live in my house, didn't really want to be here the same way we didn't want him here. But he had no choice because he jobless and he had no say in anything. This meant that they needed to go back home for a couple days, pack up their whole entire house, because at that time their lease was up. They were on like month to month, whatever. So they needed to go back home, pack up their things, and bring pretty much their essentials. They pretty much got rid of everything almost. Like, she came here with very little. She explained to Richard that it would just be like a temporary stop until they find a place, you know. They'll stay in my house for as long as they could to save, to get a place of their own, and that's what they were going to do. And of course he was on board, and the minute that they even decided that they were going to be living here temporarily. You would see Richard on his phone looking at houses in the area and just wanting to go to open houses and see houses and talking about how he could build this and that. He can't build nothing. All this stuff, okay? He could put up a fence and all these things and blah, 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 blah. When I think about it now, it was sad and pathetic because he literally had no idea that he was going home. He was about to be bamboozled, befuddled, bewitched, bewildered. He was about to be so confused because he thought that he was going to stay here in Ottawa when really my sister was getting ready to send his butt the F packing. So she would be looking at houses with him and they would be oohing and ahhing when she knows that in the next few days she's getting ready to tell him, well, I hate to break the news to you, but your time here is up. So the next step in her crazy plan was to tell him that she needed certain paperwork to get some stuff for her son. That was obviously a lie, but she was basically telling him, you're probably going to have to go back home for a little bit, get your affairs sorted out there, and then come back to us. And obviously, right away, he is like in panic mode. Okay, he is not trying to hear it. He's pissed. So pissed that he begins to rebel, and he knows that my sister hates his facial hair gone. This man shaved it off. He shaved it off, and he had cuts all over his face. He looked crazy. Like, I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know what he looked like, Chad. Completely different person. Facial hair was gone, and he was doing it as a sign of rebellion. Her next step in the plan was informing his mama. That was a whole other drama in itself. The mom then cussed my sister out because they didn't want him back. They felt like they got rid of him, and now she's telling them that she's sending him back to them. Obviously, he needed a place to stay. He wasn't just gonna go back to America with nowhere to stay. So she had to tell the mama, hey, I already booked the ticket. I booked the train ticket. He's gonna walk over to Rainbow Bridge, all this stuff. Like, that's how he gets back over to the States because of COVID, he couldn't fly, and also couldn't do a few things because of COVID. So plan was that she bought the ticket so nobody could say, well, no, he can't come. She's like, I already bought the ticket. He has to come back because I need XYZ for my son, and the only way to get it is if he goes back home first, and then I can file for what I need to file here. Knowing damn well she's not gonna file jack dilly squat. I'm not gonna lie, I was impressed. I was thoroughly impressed that she was able to conjure up this scheme in like 24 hours and get it together and basically, you know, get him back to where he came from. The truth was, I was really happy for her. I was happy for her that she was getting rid of this crazy man, especially because of the things that he had said about my niece and my nephew. I was like, yeah, no, he ain't it. Like, if that's how you feel, then you need to get going. You know what I mean? So I was happy for her that she was able to come up with this plan. And of course, at the time, I'm not thinking, if she's that conniving, what could be coming up the pike? Girl. This was our introduction to the Tasmanian devil. This was our introduction to the side of my sister that neither myself nor my mom had ever really experienced or seen. That extremely well calculated, devious, cunning, and manipulative woman was about to turn mine and my mom's world upside down. And the crazy part about it is we never, when I say never, saw it coming.